We appreciate you watching and listening to The Dead Jeff Show. Please like and subscribe and tune in for more videos. It's a great day to be alive on The Dead Jeff Show. I'm Jeff. That's Nick. That's the maestro Luke. Welcome in. This is episode 22. I know. I think the last two episodes we haven't been putting the episode number on, Luke. I don't know what happened there. We just stopped doing that, but that's okay.
It doesn't help with the algorithm.
No.
Most people don't search it, so I just stopped putting it on there.
We're
learning.
I'm going to change my name to Algo Rhythm. How about that? That'll be my new name here. MC name, Algo Rhythm. Think I'd sell anything? No, probably wouldn't.
No.
Hey, guys, first Sunday without NFL football. I know we had the NBA All-Star stuff to kind of distract us from that, but what did you guys do today without the NFL football? I guess you could have watched Olympics maybe. Tell me what you guys have done now that NFL football is over.
I'll give you the three things I did instead of watching football. Although the first one I do no matter if it's football or not. So I went to church. We went to lunch, which we don't normally do. After we went to the later service, and then we went to lunch, which we don't normally do because that spills into kickoff, and we can't have that. So the girls got a little treat. Went over to Texas Roadhouse, had some lunch, and then we got back, and I took down my Christmas lights. And I don't need anyone coming for me about why my Christmas lights are still up on February 15th.
Yeah, that's
funny. We actually ate at Texas Roadhouse as well today.
There you look. Hey, great minds. Look at that. So yeah, that was my day.
Not me. I didn't eat at Texas Roadhouse. I didn't get the invite from either one of you to go to Texas Roadhouse.
Well, it was a spur of the moment type of thing.
Same. I was actually on the phone with you talking to you. They didn't even get a choice in it. I wanted Texas Roadhouse, so it was their treat. But I just took them. I just took them there.
That's so funny.
Well, that's funny that both y'all went to Texas Roadhouse, and I don't even. What did I eat for lunch? I don't even remember.
Leftovers. Anyway, probably leftover pizza or something.
But listen, Luke. So I guess you guys went to Roadhouse. Did you do anything else without NFL football on today?
Me? Yeah, I got this. Well, for those of you that do your landscaping stuff yourself, I know, Dad, you're at the age where you kind of just pay people to do it, which is fine.
I do not.
I
do my own. Whoa! I mow my own yard, sir.
I'm talking about like legit landscaping stuff. Your yard's
what does
pretty
that
small.
mean? Okay,
like pulling weeds and trimming stuff and all that kind of crap.
Well, here's what I know: the same guy that trimmed my trees trimmed your trees. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not talking about that. Yeah, you told me not to do that. That needs to be professionally done. That's different. I'm talking about like basically what I'm getting at is I got this tool that helps you like pull weeds. Like you stick it in the ground and then it like clamps on the root of the weed and you just like leverage it up. That thing is like, I don't know. It's just like, it's so nice. Like it's like bird watching for me. Just go out there and pick those weeds. I'm literally like, so yeah, it's therapeutic. So I was out there doing that today and then messing with some techie stuff. Once I got tired of doing that. So
I need a link to that device.
What's that?
The weed puller?
Yeah, I need a link to that device because
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, our flower bed gets stupid, so that would be nice.
No, it's so nice.
Well, being a homeowner, has its privileges, but these are not those privileges. This is a part of being a homeowner, right? So welcome to homeownership, Luke. As you can see behind me, right before we started recording, my curtain fell down behind me and exposed my brown wall behind my shelf. So I apologize in advance for I still look better than Nick, though, so I don't know what y'all think. But
y'all don't have nothing on my wall, though. Look at this.
Yeah, that's nice. But
that's just one side, too.
So I can't put that curtain back up by myself, so next time Luke's over here, he'll help me with that. But for me today, what did I do? I watched a little bit of Olympics. I watched the NBA All-Star game right before we started recording. We'll talk about that a little bit later. All the NBA Saturday night stuff. We'll talk about that. But it's different not having NFL football. I did a lot of cleaning on the patio. I did a lot of stuff around the house that you do when you don't do when you're watching football. So I just realized I gave Luke my mower, and I have to go buy a mower before I have to mow the yard. So I got to buy a new mower before I can get out there and mow the yard. But I did pull weeds in my yard. It's funny. I have a couple weeds in the backyard that I pulled, cleaned the pool, that kind of stuff. And yesterday it rained all day here in Dallas, and today was just beautiful. I also went for a walk for about an hour, and man, it feels like spring already. So maybe we're done with the cold weather here in Dallas, and we can be on to the summer things. So today's show, guys, look, it's a jam-packed show. We, even though football season is over, is football season really ever over? Because we go right into free agency, right into the NFL draft, and we're going to talk about that today. We're going to get real position specific. We're first going to run down all the Cowboys' needs and what we think they should do at the 12th and 20th pick. And we're going to get really dialed into the defensive backs on this episode. But there's plenty of time for that. Don't forget, guys, to like, subscribe, share. We're 22 episodes into this, but we're still learning. But we want to interact with you guys more. I think maybe in the next few episodes, maybe I'll actually start advertising. I don't know. We have done this all organic. We've got all of our followers organically, and that's the way we like to do it. But maybe we'll start advertising here soon. So listen, before we get going on the NFL draft, I thought it was important to run down some NFL important dates for the offseason. But before I do that, I guess I should tell us, we're going to talk about the draft. We're going to talk about the NBA All-Star. We're going to have Maestro through the news, and then we'll see how much time's left after that. So, important NFL dates for the offseason. Now, this is why I say that the NFL season never ends, because right after the Super Bowl, we got important dates that come up. Like February 17th through March 3rd is the period where they can do franchise tag and transition tag. That's when you have that kind of period to decide who you're going to put the franchise tag on, who you're going to put the transition tag on. And we know that the Cowboys are most likely going to put the franchise tag on George Pickens. We said all year that's probably what they'll do, and that's probably going to happen within the next couple weeks. So that's February 17th through March 23rd is the franchise tag transition tag period. February 23rd through March 2nd is the scouting combine in Indianapolis. If you're nerded out on this stuff, it's a big time of year. You get to watch people run, jump, and catch passes with all that stuff. And I like the scouting combine. I'm kind of I nerd out over it. But that's February 23rd through March 2nd. Then you got March 9th and 11th. This is that weird, hey, you can negotiate with unrestricted free agent period, but you can't sign them until March 11th. But you got 2 days to negotiate, and this is where all the deals get announced. So that's March 9th through 11th. You can negotiate. March 11th, the 2026 league year begins, and the free agent signing period is underway. So a lot happening right after the Super Bowl here. And then, of course, the league annual meeting is March 29th through April 1st. April 17th is the deadline for restricted free agents to sign offer sheets. Then we go right into the draft, right? So that's April 23rd through the 25th, and I think it's in Pittsburgh. Is that right? Or was that last year?
The NFL draft that was last year.
I thought it was in Pittsburgh last year. Maybe it was Philly last year. Maybe it's Pittsburgh this year. I think it was Philly last year, wasn't it?
Let's see. Pittsburgh, yeah. It was Philly last year. Pittsburgh this year.
I guess they're just staying on the East Coast. So, but listen, that's a lot of stuff happening in a short period of time. I know April will be here before we know it. Do you like free agency being before the draft, Nick, Luke?
Yeah, I do. I'm not Luke.
I said Nick, Luke.
No, yeah, you can answer first. Go ahead.
I didn't hear the Nick part. My bad. Yeah, I do, only because I think it can really, really shape your draft. What you do in the draft, right? Especially in a year where, for the Cowboys specifically, you need so much help on defense, and you have there's some. We'll get into it, but there's some Eagle free agents. There's some Christian Parker connections all around the kind of place there. So if you can get really aggressive in free agency, which, this has been a different offseason for Dallas. We're doing stuff we don't normally do here. So if they can keep that trend going and just, I'm not saying go crazy. I'm not saying break the bank. Pickens is going to cost about $28 million if the franchise tag holds. So you still have to be, smart about what you do. But if they can just go sign 2 or 3 starters via free agency, that dramatically changes what you do in the draft. So yeah, I love the layout. I really think the NFL is very intentional about, I want this to be a year round pumping out news cycles and the whole thing. So
Yeah.
this plays right into that.
Yeah, I think, Luke, what do you think? Do you like the free agency being before the draft?
Yeah, I think what Nick was saying, you could do that. I feel like that could go either way. You could make a case for it being better to be before the draft just because you know who to draft, or you can say I'd rather draft first and then know like, okay, I need to pick up some experience in that level, or like I drafted. Obviously, the draft is young guys coming up, so you could say, I'm drafting this position, or I'm young in this position, so maybe I pick up, a veteran or something, or so. I could see it going either way. I don't have a preference. Maybe I would rather it be after the draft, just for those reasons. Free agency are people that have already played, so they're going to be more experienced. So maybe being after the draft, who you want to pick up to help like coach these young guys up. So
Yeah, I think I like it being before the draft because of team building. Like the Cowboys have not really been active in free agency. Now last year, they did the trade with Pickens and things like that, but didn't really sign a bunch of free agents. And they don't really normally do it. But like you said, because they're doing things differently, maybe this will be the energy, that they bring into free agency this year will be different. But I do like it because now, based on what's available in the draft, it's always the dicey thing. We're going to talk about the depth of positions in the draft as we go through it, but there are some very notable free agents available. And I think unlike the NBA, in an NFL, these guys change teams, a little bit more frequently than NBA players when it comes down to free agency because of the max and the super max in the NBA. But I think I like it coming before the draft because it does give you a chance to make some of these positions not so needed in the draft, and it's less likely that you reach in that situation. Just trying to fill a need. So let's talk about who the Cowboys have on their team as free agents. Now, there's 2 kinds of free agents: unrestricted and restricted free agents. Unrestricted's free to sign with anybody. Restricted, they have to sign an offer sheet, and we get the first right of refusal. I can only say that. Decide whether we're going to match that offer or not. So, Cowboys unrestricted free agents on offense. We have Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, George Pickens, who we will franchise tag, Jalen Tolbert, Adenji, I don't know how to say him, offensive lineman, Hakeem Adenji, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be reading these names. I'm terrible. And then Rob Jones, I can say that one on offensive line. Rob Jones is on offense. Obviously, the big one there is Javonte Williams because we're gonna franchise tag Pickens. Any of those others, I'm not that concerned about. But our running back room will get really weak if we don't bring back Javonte, right? And the Cowboys last couple of years have found running backs when they need to, so not particularly worried about that. Any of those on offense like scare you that they could walk?
No, Javonte certainly, but I think there's enough potential there with not only re-signing potentially Javonte, but also just going out, and there's some very interesting names in free agency. So I don't think offensively, and also obviously Pickens, but like you said, well established that he's not going anywhere.
No, he's
Um,
not.
I think the offense in general too, though, like that's not anyone's concern. I think
Yeah.
Dallas has kind of proven, at least through this last little stretch of a few years, they can plug and play at least to some degree, a little bit. As long as Dak's there, as long as you got CD, there's a couple cornerstones on the line, you'll be fine. I'm not really worried on the offensive side.
Okay, I agree. I think that the defensive side's a little bit more concerning, at least from the edge rushing position. You got Jadeveon Clowney, who's a unrestricted free agent. Dante Fowler, Peyton Turner, and Sam Williams. All of them are defensive ends, all four of them. And Sam had some moments, but has really underperformed as a Cowboy. Dante Fowler did not repeat his success in Washington here. So I think Jadeveon Clowney's an interesting one. I'd be interested in bringing him back because of the way he played this year. Linebackers, you have Kenneth Murray, Jack Sanborn, that are unrestricted free agents. Donovan Wilson at safety, Corey Ballantyne at cornerback, and C.J. Goodwin at cornerback. Again, the only one that I'm really be sad about would be Jadeveon Clowney. The other ones I'm not really that concerned about as long as we have replacements through the draft and free agency.
It's a good thing it doesn't cost you money to lose a free agent if they're bad enough, because I think we'd be like in a deficit with some of those guys. Yeah, I agree. Clowney's the only one, but I think, based on the way the kind of the end of the year went, Clowney was, I kind of think about it like Kyrie. Whenever Kyrie first came over to the Mavericks, it's kind of like Clowney has been viewed this way by the league, and then he comes to Dallas, and it almost feels like everyone just kind of wrapped their arms around him, and we're like, hey, you belong here. You're our guy. He just seemed to kind of get a little bit of that joy back. The city and the team really seemed to kind of throw their arms around him. Kind of like I said with Kyrie, when he got here, man, he just seemed like the city embraced him and he just kind of loved it, found his joy a little bit again. I'd be really surprised if Conley goes anywhere. I'd even see him taking a little bit of a discount to stay, just to be in the environment, to be somewhere that clearly he's wanted. But it would suck to lose him because not only was he great on the field, but clearly is adding something along with Quinnen just to the locker room.
Yeah, for sure. And again, he outperformed what we signed him for sure. Jadeveon Clowney did. And with the excitement, with the new fresh blood coming in and coaching on the defense, and the offense is good, maybe it makes sense. But he is older, and he doesn't have a lot of paydays left, so that's always a concern when it comes to these kind of guys. But any of these other guys, I'm just like, some people want to bring Donovan Wilson back. I've seen enough of him. Unless it's a very, very team-friendly contract, I would not, even consider that. But that's the unrestricted free agents that are on the Cowboys or free to sign anywhere this offseason, starting in that free agent period on March 9th. And here's the restricted free agent list. Malik Davis, who showed some signs of life at the end of the season, a running back. T.J. Bass on the offensive line. Brock Hoffman on the offensive line, a couple of backups who got some time this year. Wanye Thomas, safety, and the A-bomb, Brandon Aubrey, is a restricted free agent. So that's your restricted free agent list for the Cowboys. Obviously, I don't think the A-bomb's going anywhere.
Yeah, he better not. 70-yard field goal kicker. Our best weapon. Not offensive weapon, because our offense is good.
Well, and we'll see what these offensive linemen, because that's depth, right? That's two guys
100%.
that got some time, so depth on the offensive line could be a concern. And we'll get into the Cowboys' needs here in just a minute. But not anything crazy there. Obviously, if you don't sign Javonte, maybe you bring Malik Davis back on a small contract, and I don't think Malik Davis is going to get a lot of action, but that's the restricted free agent list and the unrestricted free agent list, and it's just not that concerning, honestly. Any of those names you want to talk about at this point on that list?
Honestly, you mentioned that the offensive lineman, I feel like maybe this doesn't get as much, it's not going to get as much pub as the rest of the stuff will, and maybe rightfully so, because they are backups and they are depth. But, that was one of the things that early in the season we were talking about, kind of that next man up mentality. So when you have quality guys like that can have a spot start, and you're losing something talent-wise, but to not just have to say, used to be with Tyron Smith and Zach Martin, some of those guys missed, you're just losing that game. Or it's going to be a really, really long night and it's going to be a dogfight. With some of these depth players, man, it really feels like that's not necessarily the case anymore. and you would like to be able to hang on to them, given the cost and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, I think that might be something that flies under the radar, but there's something to that.
Yeah, and I think the Cowboys are known for signing their own free agents more than they are going out and getting other free
Hmm.
agents, and maybe that will change because this list is leaves a lot to be desired. But I think that with Jerry's understanding of, hey, I got to do things differently with the way that Schottenheimer's been leading, Christian Parker coming in, picking his entire staff, I think we'll see it a little different this year, and I think we will go after more free agents that aren't Cowboy free agents. So I'm excited about that. Now let's talk a little bit about Cowboys' needs. What do you guys think is the most top one or two things that they need the most on this team? We all agree it's defense, but I think there could be some argument
Yep.
with, is it DB? Is it linebacker? Is it edge rusher? With the names I just told you are leaving the team, there's 4 edge rushers leaving the team. So depth will be a problem here. We know the defensive tackle spot is solid. We really don't need help there. But what do you think the biggest need for the Cowboys in 2026 will be?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely in the secondary. I would go corner slightly in front of safety, and I think that's me kind of just looking ahead and seeing that there maybe is a little bit more available in free agency via safety than there is for corner. So if I had to rank them, I would go corner, linebacker, safety, and then edge. And the only reason I put edge low, although it's arguably the most critically important piece for the defense, I do think the defensive line, depending on what they do with some of these contracts, I definitely think they've got a lot of talent there. Now, how you make the pieces work, what do you do with the contracts, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I get that there's a business side to it, but the defensive line, just talent wise, although we're losing some players, still have Quinnen, still have Osa, still have Kenny for the time being. Um, there's some talent there. So I would go corner, linebacker, safety would be how I'd rank the needs defensively.
I think for me, I think I would go. We do need. I mean, we do need secondary help, but I think I would put linebackers ahead only because we now have Christian Parker, a part of our squad, and I think what he's done with um secondary players. I think we have talent in the secondary. I think maybe it was just the coaching. I mean that you get a new coach in there, like Christian Parker. Hopefully, will be. Um, I, just having a new energy gives these players like just a boost. Like they'll be coming out of nowhere and being like, Why weren't they that good last year?" Well, I mean, coaching does matter, and so I think I know in the draft probably we'll get to that, but I think I would put linebackers in front of secondary only because we have Christian Parker. If we didn't have him, then I think probably secondary, just because I think Christian Parker can boost those guys up.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. You talk about, you got Bland, who's coming back off injury, another injury.
Hmm.
Then you got Revel and you got Carson, who were young prospects that are
Hmm.
really haven't really seen a lot of the field. So there's some, maybe he can make one of those good. With Bland returning back to form, and one of those other ones under Christian Parker could take steps forward. I think for me, I agree. I still would put linebacker and DBs probably even, which means that's a good place to be because as the draft unfolds, you just never know. And we don't know
Hmm.
what they're going to do in free agency, but I think there's some linebackers, one of them related to Quinnen Williams, that we could possibly go get from the Jets, who's an unrestricted free agent, which is Quincy. So I think there are a lot more safeties and linebackers available in free agency than there are, corners and edge rushers. Now there's 2 big edge rushers that possibly could be available with Hendrickson and Max Crosby, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So, if you ask me to put it in order, I would probably put linebacker slightly ahead of DBs and edge, then go O-line, running back, tight end, wide receiver, probably in that order, just
Yeah.
because wide receiver is pretty locked up here. You got Flournoy, and you got Pickens and Lamb. And then I'd put tight end in front of wide receiver because really you got Ferguson and and that's really it. So but this draft is not deep in tight ends, so maybe there's one in free agency we can go get. But that's kind of how I see the Cowboys' needs. Linebacker, DB, edge, O-line, running back, tight end, wide receiver in that order. Now, before we get into this year's, well, let's talk about the Cowboys' draft picks. They have 2 picks in the first round, 12 and 20.
Yep.
They have nothing in the second round and nothing in the third round, as we sit here today. In the fourth round, they got the 12th pick in the fourth round, which is the 112th overall. In the fifth round, they got 2 picks. They got the 12th pick in the fifth round, which is 150 overall. And then a compensatory pick is the 39th pick in the fifth round, is 177. Then in the sixth round, they have the 36th pick, which is compensatory, which is 215 overall. And then that's it in the sixth round. And then the seventh round, they have 2 picks, number 5, which is 221 overall, and number 9, which is 225 overall. So really, after you got to hit home runs in the first round, or it's going to be a long day. And they could trade down, and we'll talk about that in just a bit. But as we've chronicled on this show, Cowboys haven't drafted well defensively, and hopefully Christian Parker and Brian Schottenheimer and the new staff can change that. I would like to go over the last 2 drafts just so we can refresh our memories on how the last 2 have gone and maybe why we're in the position we're in on defense for sure. So in 2024, the first round pick, number 29, they picked Tyler Guyton. And, he's had some ups and downs. Second round, number 56 overall, they picked Marshawn Nealon. Rest in peace. We know what happened there to Marshawn. In the third round, 73rd overall, they picked Cooper Beebe at center. So he's been fine. Third round, 87th is Maris Luafau from Notre Dame at linebacker. Not really done much in the 2 years he's been here. Fifth round, we picked Kalen Carson from Wake Forest, who we just talked about at defensive back. He's been injured a lot, and we'll see what he brings to the table. Sixth round, Ryan Flournoy. Seventh round, Nate Thomas at offensive tackle, and defensive lineman Justin Rogers, which has done nothing here in Dallas. So if you look at the 2024 draft, you got help on offense and defense, not really. You got Marshawn Nealon, who's passed away, and you got Luafau, who has not really panned out, and we'll see what Carson is a TBD. Any comments about the 24 draft?
It's really bad. I mean, yeah, it's hard to say much. I mean, obviously the Nealon thing is very sad, and he would have been your best defensive player in that draft, and it probably wasn't close. Just with the motor and being able to come in and kind of the swap out, especially at the time with Micah and Osa, and that was looking like a potentially good unit for the next 4 to 6 years. But outside of that, man, that's tough. And I want to be fair to Kalen Carson, like Luke said, and I think it's a great point. Christian Parker may be able to come in and do something with Carson. It looks like he has some pretty good instincts. I found myself kind of gravitating toward him, especially when they would go man to man. So I don't want to just write off Carson. I think there's definitely the potential that you could be talking about him as someone that's making plays for the defense. But it's a tough draft, man. It's rough.
Yeah, no impact players on defense, really. And only really a couple on offense, and that's on the offensive line. So let's look at last year's draft. Last year, the Cowboys stayed at number 12, and they drafted Tyler Booker. A lot of people thought, they could have traded down and gotten him, or maybe they reached for Tyler Booker, but man, he had an impressive rookie season, so that pick is a thumbs up. Second round, pick 12, which is number 44 overall, was Ezaraku, defensive end, and there's lots of flash from him this year. Third round, number 76 overall, Revel, the cornerback that we were just talking about with Carson. He was picked. He had a rough season this year, but coming back off injury, we'll see what happens. 5th round, we didn't have a 4th round pick last year. 5th round, we picked Jaden Blue, running back. Will he get his act together? Will he not? Will he make the team this year? We'll see. Another 5th round pick we had, number 152nd, was Shamar James, linebacker. Still TBD, maybe. Maybe Christian Parker can light a fire there, but was really bad in 2025. Then we had an offensive tackle, Johnny Cornelius in the 6th round. Then a defensive tackle, Jay Toya? Yeah. In the 7th round. Phil Maffa in the 7th round at running back. And another defensive tackle, Tommy Akin. I can't even say it. I'm not even going to try it.
So, where are your glasses?
No, I can see it. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Akin Basote.
Yeah. Those names are
but
whatever it is.
You can see the letters in the right order?
Yes. I can see the letters in the right orders. I just can't pronounce it. So, better draft than 24,
yeah.
But still a lot of TBD, a lot of question marks in last year's draft.
Yeah, I think the thing that is a little bit more encouraging about 25 is the coaching staff. And I mean, I think just the notion behind having somewhere to go. Like if you look at the measurables, if you look at the scheme schematically, if you look at kind of where they're at, it's a business, right? So talk about contractually. If you've got these guys under these rookie deals and you can make even 2 of them be impact players. I'm not talking about every down players. I'm not talking about, elite superstars. Just impact players. It helps financially. It helps, this defensive scheme come in and have a little bit of a transition period be sped up. So it's more encouraging. It's nowhere near as bad as 24, man. At some point, we got to look back. 24 might be an all-time bad draft for the Cowboys. I mean, legitimately, it may be one of the worst in history. So 25 certainly isn't that. And I think even though it is TBD, I think there's some positivity there. There's reason for optimism.
Yeah, but you can see why the defense is in the state it is right now is because we haven't really helped it. And if we go back even a couple more years, you'll see it's not much better. The Cowboys have the 12th and 20th pick in the 1st round, and normally that's a good thing. But in this draft, there's only about 15 players with the 1st round grade. So when you talk about needs and teams ahead of you, what they need, what the Cowboys are hoping is that these offensive players that are graded 1st round somehow go before they pick. So let's look at that. At quarterback, you have one quarterback who has a 1st round grade, and that's Mendoza from Indiana. You got one running back, Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. That's a 1st round grade. Depending on who you talk to at wide receiver, you have 2 or 3, maybe 4. We got Lemon at USC, Carnell Tate from Ohio State. Those are the ones that are predominantly in everybody's list as 1st round grades. And then Tyson from Arizona State is another one I've seen a 1st round grade on. And then less frequently, Boston from Washington. Denzel Boston, I think is his name. And he's out of Washington. There's only one tight end with a 1st round grade, and that's Sadiq out of Oregon. And there's 1 to 2 offensive linemen with a 1st round grade, and that's Maigoa from Miami and Fano from Utah, possibly Ione from Penn State. I hate names, and I don't pronounce them well, but on the offensive side...
Francis Maui Noah.
So on the offensive side, that's all the 1st round grades you have.
Yeah.
And so for the Cowboys, you're hoping that somebody takes the running back, somebody takes some offensive linemen, and maybe a receiver or 2 so that these defensive players get pushed down to you. Any comments about those offensive players with 1st round grades? It's very, very limited.
Yeah, I was looking at the other 2 receivers, particularly Boston, because I agree. I think Lemon is a obvious one, and obviously Tate. I particularly, Boston becomes one of those guys where depending on how he performs at the combine, he's either going to be an obvious 1st round grade, or he might even slide down into the end of the 1st round, 2nd round. Now, because of the lack of talent and the need at receiver for most teams, maybe the 4th receiver on the board doesn't get out of the 1st round. But there have been a lot of places where teams have zigged when they think they're going to zag, and 1st round graded receivers end up falling back. I mean, CeeDee falling where he fell in hindsight now is ridiculous, right? So you just never know. And I think Boston's going to have a really good scouting combine to even sniff that first round grade and then ultimately not fall out of the first round altogether.
Yeah, that's fair. I think because of the position that they may reach for him in the first round.
Yeah.
As far as defense goes, you got 2 edge rushers with first round grades. That's Bailey out of Texas Tech and Bain out of Miami. Linebacker, you have 2, Arvell Reese. Did you throw up the U?
Yeah, did man, you said Ruben Bain.
Yeah. They lost to Indiana, so you should be throwing up the IU, right? Right?
I'm trying to set you up.
Maestro,
I'm setting you up, bro.
IU. Okay. Linebacker, you got Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles, both from Ohio State, were the only 2 with first-round grades. And at cornerback, there are 0 first-round graded DBs. Some have McCoy and Delane rated first-round grades. And then at safety, there's 1, and that's Caleb Downs from Ohio State. So in total, there's 15 to 17, if you're being generous, first-round grades.
Yeah, or you can get all the way down to 13, depending on how generous you want to be. I will say Monsieur Delane should be a first-round grade. Like, I need to get a point because a lot of places have him like 88, 89 on the grades. 90 typically is 90 and above is a first-round grade. Monsieur as a first name is worth a point. He's a first-round grade just on first name power alone. Like, let's go ahead and push him into the first-round grades. But yeah, man, that's tough. It's tough. Now the crazy thing is, and we'll talk about it here as we move on into the actual prospects, but cornerback is actually a little bit of a deep position this year. And maybe safety not quite so much top heavy, maybe a little bit more in the mid rounds, but so to not have that true, at least seemingly that true lockdown corner standout, but to be a deeper class is a little bit unusual, but. Yeah, man, it's tough when all you need is defense, and you've got anywhere from 13 to 17 first round grades on your 20th pick sitting there staring you in the face.
Yeah, and what we have to hope is that these offensive linemen and receivers go ahead of 12 and in between 12 and 20 for sure.
Yeah.
I think that, to your point, there's 26 corners graded 80 or higher in most people's drafts, and there's 15 safeties graded 80 or higher in most people's. Well, it's a consolidation, right? And then just for kicks, it's 20 linebackers that are graded 80 or higher in this draft. So yeah, there's a little bit more depth at corner, but you obviously have to have more corners on a football team in college and in pros. So you're going to have, and maybe linebackers, but so that's kind of the state of the union going into this draft. Is here's the draft picks, and I think if you look at 12, you've had a lot of names tied to the Cowboys at 12. My fear is that Downs and Styles are going to be gone, and we're going to have a choice to make there. Are we going to trade back? Are we going to pick a corner? Are we going to take an edge that we might have to reach for?
Hey, call me a IU homer, but I kind of hope the Cowboys get Pons. I feel like he's going to be a solid pro.
Well, the only way they could do that is if he falls to the 4th round, or they trade down out of 20 or trade out of 12 and pick up a second, a third round pick, because he's not going in the first round. There's no way.
Yeah, and definitely not first round, but I just mean in general. Like, I hope they get him. That'd be cool.
Yeah. So Nick is back with us now.
Yep. Sorry about that. I kicked my tape underneath. No.
We're having a lot of technical difficulties on this show today. So yeah, what I was talking about before you just rudely left us hanging was that you've seen a lot of names at 12 for the Cowboys, and then you've seen a lot of opportunities where Styles and Downs are gone, and you have to decide, do I want an edge rusher or a defensive back, or trade back? So let's talk about the corners. Who is your favorite corner in this year's draft?
So a lot of people like Jermod McCoy, and I understand why. I am so like risk adverse when it comes to this. So a dude that not sat out, but like he had an ACL injury that kept him out of 2025. Like that just makes me so nervous. One of the knocks on him was his speed, right? Like the last posted 40 time, and this is via NFL Draft Buzz. He had ran a 4.52 40. So from a cornerback standpoint, like that's already not blazing speed. And so if you're talking about a knee injury on top of that, um, that's a little rough. Now the scouting reports, again, this is consolidation of multiple things: a PFF, Draft Buzz, a database. Um, Great instincts, but better in zone than man. For Christian Parker, schematically, seemingly like what he likes to do, I don't know how much that works. So if you're asking me, who do I like the best based on the player and the fit, I would lean toward Delane. Um, a little bit rangier, a little bit more of a Christian Parker type guy, a little bit shiftier. He ran a 4.4 40. Here's the other thing that I really loved as a stat. In 2025, quarterbacks throwing against him had a 27.5 passer rating, which is wild in the SEC. Like, it's a lot of talent in the SEC on the offensive side of the ball. So I would lean toward Delane.
Yeah, I would too. I think the problem is I don't know that he's going to be there at 12 or definitely not at 20 because I think
20, no.
he's shooting up the draft boards a little bit here and we haven't even got to the combine yet, and I don't think he's going to run at the combine. I think he's I'm not even sure if he's going to do anything at the combine, but it's too early, I guess, to know for all. I haven't looked at all the who's doing what, but I imagine he's going to run at the LSU Pro Day. But if I had to choose, if I had my choice of corner, I would take Delane as well. And McCoy may have more upside, but that injury risk is real. We've already got 3 DBs that are coming back from injuries. So, maybe this is where we go go with the Kurt Cignetti philosophy with production over potential, and go with Delane if he's available. Well, Pons, like we said, we don't have a second round. We don't have a third round.
He's climbing up. He's climbing up.
He's not going to be a first round 12 or 20. We're going to have to trade back or hope he slides to the fourth round, which probably won't happen. So, but to me, the ultimate scenario for me is we get Styles or Downs at 12. Either one of those I'll be fine with, because as we talk about the safeties, you got Downs and then a drop off, right? With the grades. I think we talked about Downs being the only first round grade, but it drops like 6-7 points in the grade to the next one, and depending on who you like, 6-7 points. Here we go again. Thieneman's not my favorite for second. I like McNeil Warren just based on what I've read and what I've seen from Toledo, better than him.
Yep.
So, but it's still, I think that we got safeties that are available in free agency and linebackers in free agencies that, you could be okay here. What would you, if they stay at 12 and they don't trade back, what would be the worst case scenario for you?
Well, worst case scenario, and let me preface this by saying I don't think that it's the worst case scenario for the team, because I think they'll view this as a positive. But I could really see, and just based on the way the board breaks down, now I doubt it, but Maui Noah falling, or one of the offensive linemen falling to 12, and because Dallas, especially recently, has been a little more toward the just take the best player available, they don't, in drafting, you really talk about two things. Do you draft for position need, or do you draft on just best talent available? The Cowboys seemingly have been more inclined to take the best talent available. So for me, I don't want to see them take an offensive lineman at 12. That would really be the worst case scenario. You're right. Again, that would be the worst case scenario for me. I don't think it's as unlikely as people might think. People might hear that and go like, no, of course they're going to go defense at 12. If the board falls the right way, they're either trading back or they're taking the O lineman, because they're not going to force a defensive back pick with 12. Like, they're just not. And I don't even see them trading out of 12 because there's so few first round talents in this draft. So that would be my worst case scenario. Is, again, I don't think for the team it's bad. Just for me personally, wanting to see the defense improve, offensive lineman at 12 would kind of suck.
So do you I mean, there's gonna be an edge available at 12. You might have to reach for the other guy out of Miami, not Bain. What's his name? I'm blanking.
You talking about the other
Messidor?
edge rusher out of
Messidor?
Miami?
Is
Yeah,
it Messidor?
Messidor. Uh-huh.
Yeah. You might could reach for him if you want to, or the guy from Texas A&M at edge, Howe, Howe, or and I don't want to be in a reach situation like they really did that with Tyler Booker and it paid off.
Tyler Booker. Yeah.
But I don't want to reach again at 12. So I think I would be inclined to trade down if it falls where my top 3 or 4 guys that I want aren't there. Because like we said, there are a lot of corners bunched up with their grades around 80 to 85, which is second, third round grades. So,
now look, I will say this. Here's the other thing. Like in the not the obvious route to take, but not the terrible route to take. Like Kendrick Falk from Auburn is someone that's in that really weird kind of spot where, again, depending on how the board breaks down, like being at 12 by rule, like 2 or 3 of these guys have to be there. Like whether it's a receiver, whether it's the running back, whether it's Falk, like not all 14, 15 of these guys can be gone by 12. It's not possible.
sure.
So you're going to be in a little bit of a weird spot. And Kendrick Falk is an interesting one. If you put him on the opposite side of Izaraku and you've got Quinnen and Osa, and even if you let Kenny Clark go, then now all of a sudden you've got a little bit of a NASCAR package you can go with. So I think in terms of the middle ground, I think Kendrick Falk is something that I would be very interested in and could be that little pivot pause. Okay, this is still okay kind of situation.
Yeah, you could, or you could be in a situation where the receivers are falling and somebody wants to move up to 12 and you could drop back a few spots and somebody wants to go up and get a receiver. Because man, ESPN loves Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State and they got him as the 10th best prospect. And so you've got Love, who knows where he's going to end up, but we need to hope that these guys go before 12 so that we can have our pick, right? Because for me, I want a safety or a linebacker or an edge guy at 12. Now, we're obviously speaking without them having to done free agency yet, and so they could make a trade. I mean, Max Crosby is available. Would you trade 12 for Max Crosby? Would you trade 20 for Max Crosby?
Yes.
I don't like 12 for Crosby only because of the price tag. Like if I said, God, it's so weird to say this out loud, but if I said Kendrick Falk for $8 million a year or Max Crosby for $25 million a year, like, and then it's weird saying it out loud because it's like obviously we know what Crosby is, and so
he already signed his contract, right? So he has his number for the next 2 years, right?
That's Max what I'm Crosby? Saying. I think it's 25, isn't it? Yeah, so I think it's like 20, I think it's in like the 25 range.
But if I said to you,
that's what I'm saying.
You can trade Micah for Max Crosby, Quinnen Williams, and Kenny Clark. Would you have done that?
Yes. Yeah, if it's 20, 100%.
No, I said
if it's 20, there's no conversation.
For 12,
I see what you mean.
Yeah. So to me, I think again in a little bit of a weaker top heavy draft, like there's only 15 first round grades or 13 depending on who you ask. So at 12, you're getting someone at the bottom end of that. I'd rather have Max Crosby. I'm just telling you, I rather would. I don't know how old Max Crosby is.
Me too.
Let's see. I'll tell you right now. So Max Crosby is 28 years old. I'm out.
What?
No,
I'm out.
You're crazy.
I'm out.
You're crazy. If you have a chance to get Max Crosby, get him. He's not just a great player, but he's a great locker room guy, great culture guy to add to what you're trying to build culture-wise on the defense. I mean, he would be such a good addition to that. A lot of, experience. He just plays so hard. He wants to win. So I don't know. I think he's from this area, isn't he?
I don't know.
He's from Texas. He's from DFW.
I think he's from Texas. So I get the argument not to. I get the argument not to. I mean, we don't want another Joey Galloway situation, right? Where you trade a couple first round picks and bring Joey Galloway in. But remember, Jerry's getting old. His window is short, and he may do something like this to shake it up a little bit. To me,
do it, Jerry, do it.
I just don't. So you're gonna say, look at all of these edge rushers that are in the draft that I can get at 12. Are they gonna be a Max Crosby? Obviously, I would have them for 5 more years than Max Crosby or whatever it is. Maybe 3 off the initial contract. But I don't really. I think the Cowboys are in a great restructure situation where cap is not a problem as long as they do it right. So there's a lot of talk about should the Cowboys trade for Max Crosby. Obviously, we would all do it at 20, right? We would trade 20 for Max Crosby. But there's, again, speculation. We don't really even know what the asking price is for Max Crosby. We don't even know who we're going to sign in free agency. So there's a lot of speculation here. That's why we love the draft, because it's a talking sport. And but for me, I'm dreading the scenario you just mentioned where we have to decide between an offensive line or the third edge rusher if none of our guys are there, if they're all gone. And maybe somebody will want a wide receiver and come up and trade us, and we'll just drop back 4 or 5 spots and pick up a third rounder or something.
Yeah, I think that would be, in that scenario, that would be ideal. And I'm always a big proponent of go get picks, especially when we don't have anything on the second or third round at the moment, just to have the numbers make sense. And I'm curious what Cowboy Nation thinks just about what would you do Crosby versus the 12. So Max Crosby, 3-year, $100 million. So it's about $30 million a year for Max Crosby through 2029. And the number 12 pick on the rookie scale right now, year one is $4.5 million. So it'd be $30 million versus $4.5 million in year one.
But your offense is ready to win now.
Yeah, and I get that. I get the Jerry's getting older. I get the Max Crosby's a win now move. Keeping the 12th pick is a down the road move, and one of hope, right? Because like you were saying earlier about Cignetti, it's product versus potential. You know what you're getting with Max Crosby. There ain't no question about that. The number 12 pick, there has to be at least some level of potential in that.
It'd just be scary if you have Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Max Crosby, and Osa on the other side. That would be scary.
And Izaraku.
No, we don't. Yeah, Izaraku for sure.
And we don't. If you bring him back.
Well, I think that would be a question, right? So the other thing would be we wouldn't have to cover as well because they wouldn't have time to throw. So that's a pie in the sky dream, maybe scenario. Who knows? Maybe it could happen. But in the terms of the cornerbacks in this draft, I don't know. I mean, when you talk about the top 5, and this has been a pretty consistent top 5, you got Delane, you got McCoy, you got Terrell. I'm not sure which one from Clemson. It's Avion. Terrell from Clemson. You got Hood from Tennessee, and you got Cisse from South Carolina. That's been predominantly the top 5. And
that's right.
I think one of those guys will be available at 20 if you wait. And safety wise, there's probably only going to be 2 drafted in the first round, and that would probably be Downs, and I think McNeil Warren would be the second one.
Yeah.
But I think that you can get corners. Luke was promoting Pons earlier from IU. You also got Keontae Scott from Miami and Muhammad from Texas that could go in, second, third, fourth round, somewhere in there. So there are options at corner. But again, to me, I think you're right when you said the defensive backs, corners specifically. There is some depth here, and maybe not 6 rounds worth of depth, but quality players available in third and fourth rounds that you can go get.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of names that I kind of had circled in terms of late round, or as some late round, mid round guys. Dalen Everett from University of Georgia. Now he's a guy that could potentially climb all the way into the second round with the great combine. The problem with Everett is he's got almost elite physical skills, but the translation into turnovers, the translation into like big game-changing plays just isn't always there. So I think there are some guys, and then you mentioned a couple of names. There's some guys in the middle rounds here, 3, 4, 5, where if, like we said before, if you can trade back, pick up a third rounder, fourth round, certainly one of the 2 fifth round picks, you're probably going to have a couple of guys there that you could potentially go with. As far as 20, the problem with 20 becomes Delane and McCoy are both almost certainly going to be gone. You talked about Hood and Cisse along with Terrell. If you look at the Christian Parker kind of prototype of corner, Terrell's undersized, I think, for what Parker likes to do. He's only 5'11", he's 180 pounds, and only has 35 games played in college. So I don't know that he's actually a potential pick for the Cowboys. You kind of take him out. And then that just leaves you with Cisse and Hood. And 20s, to me, that's a reach, man. I don't think you can take either one of those guys at 20.
No, I'm with you. Let's just hope for our sake that the safety and the linebacker are there for us to pick.
Yeah.
And you talked about free agency, and just taking a look here. This is the first time I'm looking at free agents available. There are quite a few tight ends available actually this year in free agency. But looking at the edge rushers, you got Trey Hendrickson, Jalen Phillips, and I'm just looking at these top free agents here. And then you got linebacker, you got Devin Lloyd, you got Quincy Wilson, Williams. I'm sorry, Quincy Williams from the Jets at linebacker. You've got Quay Walker from the Packers at linebacker. That's a free agent. Hold on a second here. I lost my way here a little bit. So let me just go right here. You got Caden Ellis from the Falcons, which would be a really nice get if we could get him. Devin Bush, Nakobe Dean, we've talked about coming over from the Eagles. So there are some options there, right? You got Alex Anzalone. I'm not sure how much he's got left, but there's some solid names on here that you could plug and play for a couple years. Safety wise, there's more safeties available, I think, than linebackers in free agency.
Yeah, some good safeties. Yeah,
so let's look at that. Let's look at safeties. You got Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, I'll give you
Brian Cook. You got who?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think at safety, Jalen Thompson from Arizona is someone that I really like. Obviously, Reed Blankenship. The one that would be my get, and I don't know how you guys feel about him, and just watching him throughout the kind of playoff run and then toward the latter half of the season, PJ Locke from Denver. Like, that dude is a heat-seeking missile. Like, I really, really love his game.
You got Brisker
even
from
a veteran like Kevin Byard,
You got Brisker from the Bears, who played really well this year. You also got the guy from L.A. Is it Curl from the Rams at safety?
Cam Curl.
Yeah.
Cam Curl. Yeah.
So you're right. There are a lot of people available.
That's what I was saying. Like, I don't. Yeah, if Downs is there at 12, which he almost certainly won't be, it's really hard to pass on him. But if Dallas goes and makes some moves where they pick up one of these safeties and then somehow Downs falls to you, that kind of puts you in that weird little spot where it's like if you sign a Reed Blankenship or PJ Locke or one of these guys that are obviously starters now, of course you can just play them both. I'm not saying you can't do that, but it does then call into question the strategy and what are you doing and blah, 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 blah. So, but there are definitely some players at safety. And I think the idea of going to a young, first-time defensive coordinator, a lot of energy, kind of blank slate is probably going to be enticing, especially coming to Dallas, of course, for a lot of those guys.
So, looking at all the mock drafts, who do you see as the most common name linked to Dallas in the mock drafts?
So, Monsieur Delane and Sonny Styles are the two that I kind of most commonly see popping up. Now, at 20 is where it gets a little bit more sketchy because I think a lot of people have McCoy there. I don't think he's going to fall to 20.
I don't either.
In the kind of mock drafts that I keep looking at, but I think it's people kind of imposing what they want to happen as opposed to what will actually happen. So yeah, I keep seeing Sonny Styles and Monsieur Delane as kind of the most common picks at 12 for the Cowboys. And
I've seen
20 is
Falk.
kind of all over the place.
I've seen Falk at 12. Kendrick Falk, as we talked about. I've seen
Yeah.
Downs, Delane, or McCoy, or even Hood in these 12 and 20 picks. This is the greatest thing about the draft, because just when you think you have it figured out, you don't know. I mean, I saw today where people were talking about the Raiders may not pick Mendoza 1. That would be a mistake, I think. But talking about going with the linebacker, I would just never do that at 1. But there's been goofy stuff could happen in the draft. And how would you like to be Mendoza going, okay, I'm going to the Raiders, and then they don't pick you and you got to go to the Jets?
I mean, I pray for your boy,
Yeah,
Mendoza, that does not happen, because the Jets.
Hey, Darnold went to the Jets and then won the Super Bowl, so
you got to leave the Jets still to be able to. You're going to burn
No,
4 years of his career.
I know, but he still won. He still got a ring.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I just don't like. Even now, I'm looking up again on. Well, just for the whole 20 pick, the whole conversation. You're just really, I think, because of the lack of first round talent, picking in someone at 20, you would really love for it to be like, hey, this is an impact guy. It just doesn't look like that's going to be the reality of the situation.
Yeah, and the Cowboys have to have a 12 and 20 be impact guys, because they don't have anybody picks in the second and third round like we talked about. So if you don't trade back and get a pick, then you have to get an impact guy at 12 and 20. And depending on what you do again in free agency determines how much you need these guys to impact next year.
Yeah, 100%. And I think in that case, then you really are looking at just give me the best available guy. And at that point, you are at 20. And I'm just looking at it here. I mean, if Kenyon Sadiq falls to you at 20, I mean, how much do you love Ferguson? Do you take Sadiq and just say, hey, this is going to make our offense just that much more potent? Because Sadiq is not just a downfield receiver. He's a physical guy. You know, Caden Proctor is another one where Alabama offensive lineman, we know Dallas's affinity with Alabama players and that kind of thing. Proctor's a big, physical, nasty tackle. You need some help that's not a place that you can just disparage. If you can upgrade that second tackle spot, man, that's pretty big. So again, we get in this place where I don't think Dallas will be upset about it to go take Caden Proctor at 20 if he's still there. I don't love it. I want defense, but I can see him doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them doing that too if they have to. But I think everybody is really pushing defense in these top 2 because, again, you got a long time before you pick again. That's why I probably see them trading out of one of these picks, most likely 20, and going back maybe 5 or 6 spots and picking up a third round pick. Again, at that point, maybe it's someone moving up for a specific target on offense. Maybe that lineman you're talking about right there. If you had a trade scenario where you drop back or draft Proctor, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I would definitely trade back. I don't like the offensive lineman. I would rather take if you drop down to, let's just say, 30 and pick up a third rounder, if you drop 8 to 10 spots and pick up a third rounder, like I'll do that all day long. Especially because then taking your boy from Toledo or, Hood, there's some of these guys here at the end of the first round that make a little more sense. You're not reaching, and I can pick up a second or third round pick, late second, early third round pick. Like, sign me up for that all day long.
Well, and we're speculating. We don't know what they're going to do again in free agency, which is maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves, but it's fun. It's fun to speculate. And here's what I'll say. It's great because the Cowboys need everything on defense. And so they're going to have to get something that they need. And so they can't really, go wrong. We have a dream scenario, what we like it to be. But the truth is anybody at 12 and 20 that plays defense is going to help us and compared to last year. Anything you want to say about the DBs here? Anything else we haven't touched on? Anything else you want to? Any sleepers that you have? I know you mentioned a couple. Anything else on DBs before we move on?
Yeah, I like Dalen Everett, and then the other one that I would say that I really like, and I say I like, but I just think sleeper wise, Ephesians Prysock from Washington. He's a 6'4", 195-pound corner that he's very lengthy, man. Like, this dude kind of screams Christian Parker to me. I watched some of his highlight film earlier, and I'm kind of a sucker for these bigger corners. So yeah, look out for Ephesians in the probably 5th or 6th round, as a real lengthy kind of maybe game changing, but not as shifty type corner.
Well, we could just go back and sign Nashon Wright, who's going to be a free agent this year. He was our tall, lengthy corner that we traded for Andrew Booth, but that was a bad trade. The good news is we got the cornerback whisperer here, Christian Parker. So I think that whoever he drafts, and maybe one of these guys, Kalen Carson or Revel, will step to the forefront. And I'm excited for the draft. I really am, and I'm more excited about free agency this year for the Cowboys than I've ever been, just because like you said, it's an offseason of doing things different. I don't think that'll change with free agency. I think they're going to go get some people. Jerry's window's closing, and he wants to go get it done.
Just lost you.
Lost me?
Yeah, I didn't hear anything you said.
Yeah, you're talking like chipmunks again, Dad.
Awesome. Okay. What do you want to do? You want to just close the show?
Well, actually, wait a minute. I think you're coming back.
Don't call it a comeback.
Nope, never mind. I'll see you again. We're a well-oiled machine, bro.
Let's just end the show.
Can't hear you. Just leave.
Thank you for watching the Dead Jeff Show.
Yeah,
thank you for tuning in. We got technical difficulties all over the place.
No.